This got my attention. I think it might get your attention. Now, inevitably, whenever you cover something like this, there will be someone who has something maybe against one of the creators. They said something they didn't like, had a position they didn't feel was necessary for them to make public, legitimate concerns. But I think we are returning to legitimate physical media. I'll tell you what, I will go out of my way to buy physical games. I want physical copies of all of the games I own. I don't just want digital copies. That doesn't do it for me. There's something about having physical media. I prefer collecting my comic books that way. Now, this doesn't mean I'll throw the baby out with the bathwater and won't do digital comics at all. I do them, but I try to also pick up physical copies of any digital book I've bought. A lot of people switch to digital Bibles. That's all they use. I have multiple Bibles. I am a tactile guy. I want things physically in my hand. I don't just want it digitally. I've never liked that. Never jumped fully on board with that. Like I said, I'm not against it altogether. But this got me so excited right here. And I thought this would possibly get you excited as well. So let's get to this. Comics, the magazine. This is crazy. Why has nobody done this? A lot of people think we don't want print media. I'm going to tell you what I like about print media. I like waiting month to month. I like the exclusive stories that you get. Now, obviously, we're in a digital age. How much exclusive stories they will get, who knows? Maybe they will have some kind of deal with the people they interview. Hey, if you could wait till after a week after this issue drops to talk about this thing, this topic, this subject that you discussed in this book. I don't know what they're going to work, but I like this because I want physical print media. I'm telling you. You're right, Jim. Let's do something cool. Let's create Comics the Magazine, a magazine about the general art form of all time, the greatest art form of all time. Excuse me, I don't know why I said general. By and for the people who love it more than life itself. Now, let's pause a little bit. I love comic books, but I don't love it that much. I love the Lord more than I love comic books. Anyway, this is what we're about. We love comics. You love comics. Let's throw the biggest party of all time for comics month in and month out. I think there is a resurgence and there is a return to physical media. Digital media is good. It's good as an addition. I don't think it should ever replace physical media, even though that's what has been attempted. And to some degree, it's worked, but I think there are people like me clamoring for something physical. Look, magazines they collect dust. Maybe they get in the way. I like collecting things. I like keeping my things neat and in order, but I like collecting physical things. Anyway, let me get back to this before I get on a side rant. Time for a magazine celebrating everything that makes comics great. The people who make them, the characters we love, and the titles bringing us back to our local comic shops every single week. Why do we love things? Why do we love this thing so much? Why do we score shelves for what's all new and all different? What keeps us diving into into back issue bins? What keeps us at the drawing board or keyboard long after the world has gone to sleep? Why do we devote our lives to the greatest American art form? I'll agree with that. Some people might disagree. I get it, but I think there's few art forms that are this good. Let's start with a good reason. Comics keep on fighting. It keeps being killed and obituaries written, and yet there it is, in the hidden places, getting stronger and weirder and smarter. Wortham couldn't kill it. If you don't know anything about Wortham, look him up. I think In my interview with Roland Mann, we talked about that, or he talked about it. He has way more details than me. The death of the newsstand couldn't kill it. Corporate acquisitions can't stifle its creativity. Why? Comics is the secret source code to the world that's coming. Comic books draw the most creative and talented storytellers of all time. I will agree with that. I think some of the greatest and best stories I've read are in comic books. They're the inspiration for entire film universes and the breeding ground of video game franchises. They inspire the storytelling of action masterpieces like John Wick and the visual futurism of Meow Wolf's global art installations. Comic books are the direct conduit to all possible futures. Comics work with you, the reader. Give comics its power. Movies, everyone in the theater has the same experience. And if you leave the room, it keeps going without you. TV, it'll keep going until you hit the pause button. Even novels only go one direction, and your experience is the same as everyone else's. But comics work with you to tell your story. It hints in the direction it wants you to read, but you decide and give it the real juice. Then why, he said rue after juice. Then why a magazine right here and right now? Comics, the magazine, is your gateway to everything going on in the world of comics. Now, you might ask yourself, yeah, but we got all of these websites and leaks. That is true. I agree. That is true. And you might think this is not wanted or desired, but I am here to tell you, there's a lot of people like me. I'll be honest. I was not too happy when gaming magazines completely went away. There is something that you just can't. The online thing is great. I read online articles all the time. You guys listen to me read these articles, but there's just, if I had a print magazine and I can go over what I read in this print magazine, I'm not gonna lie to you, I would probably much rather do that. Personally. It's just my personal opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. It says comic magazines, the gateway. Comics, the magazine, is your gateway to everything going on in the world of comics, like Wizard Magazine, the Comics Buyer's Guide, Comic Scene, the Comics Journal, and Hero Illustrated before us. We're not only where you will find your next favorite read, we are where you'll find each other. Articles and interviews, absolutely, but also letters, columns, and classifieds, ads from companies creating and selling your favorite comics and retailers with your missing treasures. CTM will be the place where you find your people and hear about what's next. I like this. Maybe it doesn't work. This is ambitious, and especially in a digital world, but I like the fact that they are doing this. I really do. Comics the Magazine is actually stoked for all things comics. The era of snark and cynicism is over. Time for genuine enthusiasm for something we love. We're here to infect a new generation of readers who are holding their first comics with the affliction that taught us all to bag, board, and file. Now, some people might see this and say, yeah, but comics, it's bad, and it has this, and it has that, and they're terrible. But look, I get it. But I'll tell you what I learned from making my YouTube videos. When I started out, this channel, for those who've been following me from the beginning years ago, I think 4 years ago I started. The channel started out talking about news and politics. I'm not gonna lie, I've said this several times, so I won't spend too much time on it, but it's kind of boring. You really have to spend a lot of time researching things that, now I do still keep up with the news because I want to know what's going on in the world, but researching it to make videos and all of that just wasn't interesting to me. There's people who do it and they do it well, and I'm glad. But when I started talking about comic books, it was like the kid in me came back out. I'm still collecting comic books, and I was like, yo, this I enjoy. And what I realized once I started, I was like, you know what? I don't enjoy talking about things I don't like. And I really don't enjoy just complaining. I'm just going to find the things that I love, the comic books I love, and I'll talk about that. Now, on a personal level, when I'm talking to my son or other people I know who read comics, we can talk about some things we don't like, things we have issues with. I don't like this character, don't like that character, this story, whatever. But making videos on YouTube, I'm like, there is enough snark and there is enough cynicism. If you want that, there are places you can go for it. Some of these channels I watch, sometimes I want to see, okay, what's the critical view of this? I know what I liked about it, and there's some things I didn't like, but let me get maybe a ultra cynical view because maybe I glossed over some things I should have focused on more that were problems. So I don't have a problem with those channels, but not every channel has to be that. And I wish more people would realize that we don't all have to be the snarky complain channels. There's channels that do it. Let them do that. We don't all have to compete for the biggest, cynicism and snark. So I like the fact that this is what they're doing. Comics the Magazine spotlights the actual real life people who make real things you love to read. People whose names grace the covers of the books you read, or those who didn't make it on the masthead. People like you who go into comic shops run by people who love them so much they've created a place for you to find more people, real people who worked hard to build this thing we love. Yes, but is Comics the Magazine for me? You bet it is. It's for you if you're a diehard Wednesday warrior coming into the shop the moment new books arrive. Now, I used to be this way, and obviously I'm an adult. I have a life. This doesn't mean that you can't be an adult, have a life, and still go every Wednesday. I don't go every Wednesday. Some books I pick up, some books I don't. I still love comics. But I do know there are people who go every Wednesday. But look, I'm still in. I'm still in on Comics the Magazine. I'm not gonna say 100%, but I may subscribe to this. Or manga is your gateway drug. Or if you want to see how the Marvel Cinematic Universe came to be, or if you want to read the comics James Gunn keeps talking about, or if you backed your first ever crowdfunder, or the firm of Telegamere, Pikey, and Smith lit a fire in you as a kid, or you just want to discover something new, we're here for it. So no more messing around. Let's read, let's dream, let's create, let's do good work. And of course, you see what he says there. I'll let you read that. Welcome to Comics the Magazine. I did not know this was a thing. I had no idea. I didn't know when it was launching, so I found this article from Bleeding Cool. Comics the Magazine launches with Absolute Batman and a price guide. Okay, Comics the Magazine is the latest attempt to do a new Wizard magazine and launched with Absolute Batman on the cover. Published, this is when this article is published, 12th, Friday the 12th, December 2025, obviously written by Rich Johnston. Comics the Magazine launches with an Absolute Batman cover story and exclusive creator interviews. First issue features insights from Scott Snyder, Nick Dragotta, Frank Martin, and Clayton Cowles. Includes pullbox, power rankings, and new comic by Rob Gilroy, and in-depth price guide for collectors. Yo, even though, yeah, you can go online and find this in different places, but like I said, man, I want real physical media. I think we have allowed digital to take the place of physical, and in some cases, it's easier. I'll admit, like, I get it, but not everybody only wants digital. Not everybody wants that. I'm one of those people that want physical things. Also, before I forget, I was gonna show you who were the creators of this. Uh, who is Magazine? Joe Keatinge, editor in chief. Joe Keatinge is a comics writer and editor, known for Shooter, Evolution, Glory, and co-editing Image Pop Gun Anthology. He's written for Marvel, DC, Image, and is currently editor of Future Is from Reka Publishing. Rico Renzi, art director. Rico Renzi is a color artist and designer known for his bold palettes on Spider-Gwen, Squirrel Girl, and Grimm. His work spans Marvel, Image, and more, and has been featured in Wired and Fast Company. Megan Marsden, Director of Operations. Megan Marsden is a comic book, graphic novel, and pop culture marketing and sales specialist with Prana Direct Market Solutions. She helps promote indie comics to shops and readers, bridging creators and audiences in the comic world. Gabe Ucum, Director of Sales. Gabe Ucum is a comics industry veteran and business strategist. He's held roles at Midtown Comics, Double Take, Read Pop, and AWA, and now serves as sponsorship and business development manager at Prana. Adam Freeman, publisher. Adam Freeman is a comics industry consultant and entrepreneur. He started in retail, won a 2008 Eisner Spirit of Retail Award, helped reimagine and launch multiple publishers, and now leads Prana Direct Market Solutions. He thinks he hates this picture, but he just might love it. That's hilarious. Brian Garside, Director of Digital. Brian Garside is the superhero in residence and at Managed Comics, a digital marketing specialist, producer, owner, and founding member of the comics industry Comet Standard, where he's attempting to tame the Wild West of comics data. He's been making websites since 1993 and just can't seem to stop. Comics the Magazine is your gateway to the world of comics. Whether you're into the MCU, James Gunn's favorite crowdfunding, we already read all of that. So yeah. So these are the guys at Comics the Magazine. Okay, so now back to what I was saying here from this Bleeding Cool article. Comics the Magazine is the latest attempt to do a new Wizard magazine being published by former retailer Adam Freeman of Prana Direct Market Solutions. I thought it said Prana on that page anyway. Formerly of Valiant Entertainment, Comic Book Hub, and Bad Idea Comics. Oh, I know he's at Bad Idea Comics. With former retailer Joseph Keatinge of Moonray, Pop Gun, Rika, and writer for Marvel, DC, and Skybound as its editor-in-chief. And I have to say, this is not a bad-looking start. Launching in March 2026 with the Absolute Batman cover feature and a conversation with Scott Snyder. We already read all that, so I won't go over all that again. But yo, cover looks sick. And $2.99. Yo, I will pay $2.99 a month for a book like this. I'm telling you, I will. I don't have a problem with this. I'll give it 2 or 3 issues. If in 2 or 3 issues I'm like, it's just not panning out, then I'll unsubscribe. But I have a feeling this has the potential to be a very big deal. I'm excited about this. Maybe I'm pie in the sky. Maybe I'm bugging thinking that this will actually take off, but I cannot be the only one that has been wanting a magazine like this. And I tell you the thing I like. The thing I like about something like this, physical media, is it would be great if they interview some indie comic creators that you don't know about, that you've never heard of, and give some light to these guys. The big 3 are not the only ones putting out comic books. When I say big 3, I'm talking Marvel, DC, and Image. There are other people putting out comic books. You got Phenomenova, which I got put onto that by Eric July, and I kind of found some pages online. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna order this. This looks fire. You got Roland Mann with Silverline Comics. He has a bunch of different things there for a bunch of different. I think I got one of his, Trump's. I've gone over this book before. He's got some, some interesting books if you're into that. This is what I'll say about Silverline. If you are into, which I am, the 80s, the early to late 80s style comic books, you kind of miss that feel and you yearn for something like that, Silverline Comics is your place to go. I'm telling you, he does good work. Ripperverse. I don't know if they'll interview some, people from the Ripperverse. I know Chuck Dixon has connections all over the place. So the thing I'm pointing out is this is a good expository. Is that the right word? I don't know if that's the right word I'm looking for. I don't think that's the right word I'm looking for. This is a good place for exposure. And you might say, but we already have the internet. Nobody needs this. Yeah, I get that. Look, trust me, I get it. But I'm telling you, there are people like me that are just looking for print. There are things that I read that I only read physically. I'm not looking for it in digital format. Where's the physical copy? I want to get the physical copy and read this. This magazine has me excited. Maybe it fails, but I am glad they are trying this out.